Hello, and thank you for your interest in touring with Taran, the best of Ireland. My name is Dan Wheeler. I'm one of the franchise owners of Expedia Cruises in Cobourg, Belleville, and Kingston. And I'm happy to announce that Taran is actually on the line with us and is going to be doing this presentation today with me. Hi, Taran. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Great. I'm so excited for this trip.
I know this is one of your favorite places, isn't it?
It absolutely is my favorite.
All right, well, let's get right into it. Some people will have come to this video recording from the actual digital brochure or flipping book, as we call it. Others may have found it from a different link, but we're going to go through the whole itinerary and we'll talk about the pricing, etc. And you can always find this on our Choose to Cruise. That's choose the number two cruise.ca website under tours for 2025. Okay, so here's the agenda. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Expedia Cruises and who we are, and then we're going to talk about Taryn and who she is, as she is going to be your hostess on this trip. Royal Irish Tours is the provider of this tour, so we'll talk about that and our specific unique departure that we have arranged with them. It's a unique departure. We're the only ones that have it. The tour itinerary, the pricing, what's included, what's optional, and then call to action, how to secure your spot on this tour. So we are Expedia Cruises. We are a full service travel agency. And though cruise is in our name, we do everything. We do air, land, accommodations, tours, safaris, rail, everything. Our three locations are in Cobourg, Belleville, and Kingston. So feel free to come visit our offices. We're part of 300 stores in North America, Canada, and the US. We are the number one retailer of cruise vacations in Canada, and we have a well-trained and a well-traveled team. You also have the experience of having hosted group tours, attention to detail, and making it memorable. That's what makes us different from all of the others. Now, Taryn was born in Halliburton, right? And you grew up in Port Hope,
I did, yes.
raised your family there. How many kids do you have?
I have three sons. We raised them in Cobourg.
And how many grandkids do you have?
I have seven grandchildren, and I just had my very first great grandchild, a little boy.
Congratulations on that. Now, Taryn, you have been with Expedia Cruises. You've got some tenure. You've been with us since we opened the Coburg store in 2009.
I have.
Yeah, and I remember when I worked for corporate at that point, talking to you and meeting you there. And now that I'm one of the owners of these stores, it's nice that you're still with us. We have a lot of history together, don't we?
We do. We certainly do.
Now, both of us have traveled extensively. You've done lots of cruises, you've done tours as well. And how many did you say you've been to Ireland three times before?
I have. I've been to Ireland. I've been to India. I've been to Russia. Last fall, there's the picture. I was to Australia, New Zealand, but my heart belongs in Ireland. I
I
just
know.
would love nothing more than to move there myself.
I know how much you love it. I'm almost scared to let you go for fear you won't come back. But also, you've mentioned in your other bios that we've had that passion. Your passion is making travel dreams come true for others. And there's really
Absolutely.
nothing quite like that, is there?
There's nothing like it. When my clients go on their trip, I travel with them in my mind. I know exactly where they are every day, and I'm just as excited to watch their journey as they are doing it.
And I think one of the best parts about this job is when people come home and you call them, or else they come into the office and you're like, how are you? How was everything? And they tell you all about their trip and how amazing it was and the memories that they've created. For some people, only get to Ireland once. Other people travel all over the world, but it's never boring talking to people who have just come back, right?
No, it isn't. And when they come back, I want to sit with them for as long as they like, and I want to see all their pictures. I want to go over it all with them and make sure they got the best experience for their money and for what they were anticipating when they left for their trip.
For sure. And one of the other things about that, even though it's a fun part of our job, it's also a learning opportunity for us because they'll tell us things that may have changed in destination or something new to discover that we can pass on to other people.
Oh, absolutely. We're always learning from our clients.
That's right. Now, you are an avid quilter. Tell me about that.
I am. I've been quilting. I started probably around the mid 70s and I dabbled in it a little bit, but the last 25 years or so, it's become a big passion of mine. My goal is to try, I'm very busy, but to try and finish three quilts a year. I make them for other people. I think I've only got one myself, but I generally end up giving them all away. But it is my passion.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I know that you have hosted motorcoach tours for us from this area to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So one of the quilting areas in the US, and you've got another one coming up. And you'll probably be doing that every year going forward as long as you're able to, right?
Absolutely, and the ladies, I have repeat ladies coming every year. We have a great time. I will say the nicest thing about it, the very nicest thing about it, is we leave cold Ontario and arrive in nice warm Pennsylvania, and we can sit outside and have ice cream and watch the daffodils blow in the breeze. And it's, a balmy 70 degrees, and we've just left here where it's maybe 40. So that's the first thing that hits us is that we lose the snow and we gain the sun, and it's lovely. And then we see the Amish people and the food, and I mean the shopping is wonderful and the fabric prices are terrific. But I mean the people down there are so terrific, and we stay at a lovely little old fashioned motel just on the edge of Intercourse, Pennsylvania, in the county of Lancaster, and it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that's a popular excursion. I mean, you can do it almost every year. Now, just want to be clear for people listening. This tour, Best of Ireland, this is not a quilters tour. It's not a focused quilters tour. It's number one, the Best of Ireland. But there's the option to go to the Belfast Quilt Festival, Quilt Fair, and they're going to have some other things along the way that we're going to talk about as we get into the itinerary. But this is not a heavy duty, not everyone on this motor coach is going to be a diehard quilter, correct?
Oh, that's right. No, we're just adding, excuse me, a couple of quilting components because we're going when the quilting fair is on. We just happen to be going at that time. And so while the others are maybe touring something else in downtown Belfast, those who want to can go to the quilting fair. You're not going to miss one thing to go to another. You'll have the
No,
chance to see everything that everyone else does as well.
and it's all about options. Okay, let's take a look now. So, Royal Irish Tours, you've traveled with them before. We did our group last year with Royal Irish Tours. The best part is they're a Canadian company, but they have Irish heritage. Their family's based there and they have connections. And for Ireland, it's all about who you know because it's all connected. There's like three families that control the majority of the hotels. So, to get the prime spot and space and pricing, you got to have connections. And Royal Irish has that. As I said, family owned and operated, 24 years of touring. They offer the complete, authentic Irish experience. So they carefully curate their tours, and they've done that for us on your tour because yours is a little bit different than the standard tours that they offer. They have fantastic support and service, and I think they're one of the best value for your dollars. Wouldn't you agree, Taran?
I would agree. And they have their own tour guide, although I would be going from Ontario and get you to the airport and back again. They will have their own tour conductor on the bus, and they will help you with any problem that you might run into during the trip.
Yeah, and they're also very knowledgeable and tell you everything. But it's great to have a representative from our agency go to help you get down to Pearson, get checked in, fly over and back. If anybody has a medical issue, you've got a guide there to help you. That's the brilliance of having a hosted tour. So on the 25th of August, we are flying from Toronto to Dublin. We arrive, obviously it's an overnight flight, and we arrive the morning of the 26th in Dublin's Fair City. Now, because we arrive fairly early from those transatlantic night flights, they always offer a panoramic tour of the city. It's a beautiful city. And then you have a little bit of free time to explore and have lunch. Now, they took us to a place in downtown. It was really quite reasonably priced, and there's such a variety of food, and it was just what we needed at that point. I'm sure you probably did the same.
Yes, and there's so many restaurants in Dublin, and you're safe on the streets. There's great little shops to explore if you're interested. But by the time you're finished your lunch, we should be able to check into the hotel, and you can rest or get back out and enjoy the day.
Yeah, by the time we were done, we got on the coach and we got out to our hotel. We were able to get in. So we're staying at the Belvedere Hotel, which is a great property and a great location in Dublin. There's a shot of the Belvedere there. We will have an actual meet and greet that evening and a welcome dinner. Now, we will have flown transatlantic. We would have been tired from being up all night. You've got your lunch, you've got some free time to explore, get checked in, maybe have a little rest, but go out, meet everybody, have your dinner, and then get to bed at a decent time, and you'll be on um, European time in right away. I think that's one of the secrets to it.
Yes, for sure.
The next day, you have time to explore Dublin. So this is your free day. And one of the things that we did, and you probably did it too, Taryn, and what we recommend is a hop on, hop off bus pass. They're not very expensive. We can buy them here before we go. They're the big red double-decker buses or green double-decker buses, and they will take you all over town. They have a loop that they do, and you can get on and off wherever you feel like at any time. And I think they're good for that whole 24-hour period. So I found those very, very helpful.
They are, and you know, you can go to the Guinness warehouse, you can go to Trinity College back downtown. It takes you to parts of the city that you wouldn't necessarily walk to yourself, but things that you want to see. St. Patrick's Cathedral, you'll go past all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just shown the pictures here. I mean, Trinity College is famous. Guinness Storehouse is really a unique opportunity to go and see that. Make sure you go to the very top floor. It's got a circular panoramic view of the city. It's one of the best views. Jameson Distillery, I found that really fascinating. I really enjoyed that more than anything. Temple Bar area, there's so many in that area to choose from. And it's a little bit of a walk from the hotel, but you can definitely do it. Then
Right.
we head out of Dublin and we're heading up through St. Patrick's Country. It's beautiful land. We go through the mountains of Mourne and we'll end up at the gravesite of Ireland's patron saint, St. Patrick. You can see it, you can get your picture taken. It is a really unique spot. The town is so cute, it's very small. Nice to walk out onto the pier and see everything in the old castle. After that, we're doing a scenic drive up to Belfast. And once you're there, we have the Titanic experience in Belfast. So this museum is really quite something. It looks a little different on the outside, but inside it's multiple levels and it's multiple interactions. It's almost like it reminds me of a Walt Disney ride in a way because you travel through it in these sort of carts and you see reproductions of how they built the Titanic and the story of it. You got to do this, didn't you, Taryn?
Yes, and it does remind me of a Disney ride. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's definitely worthwhile. I don't think anybody should miss the Titanic Museum. Now, you're staying at the Europa Hotel, which is where we stayed as well, which is a beautiful property and it's in a great location right in the heart of Belfast. You have dinner at the hotel that night just because of the time we get in to make it convenient and easy. Everybody's at the hotel, but you gotta explore across the street. There is a plethora of bars to choose from, and some of them that have the incredible woodwork and a lot of history. You'll find fun there for sure. Your next day in Belfast, they're going to do a tour of City Hall, which is beautiful. I mean, look at that. Look at that City Hall. It's an absolutely stunning, stunning building. They're also going to take you to Protestant Shank Hill, and then you're going to also travel to Catholic Falls Road area. And you'll see the difference. You'll see all the murals. They'll tell you the history about the Troubles and the whole bit. They'll explain everything. Now, your afternoon is free, and there's a recommendation to go to the Cathedral Quarter. It's quite colorful, it's quite interesting, and there's lots to see and explore there. Have you been to this Cathedral Quarter?
I don't think I have.
Well, that's something new for you then.
It is. It looks exciting.
Yes. So those people can do that in the afternoon. Those people that want to go with you, Taryn, to the quilt fair, the motor coach from our company from Royal Irish, they will take you out there, but then you guys will arrange your own way back. So at any time you want to come home, you can catch a local bus or you can share an Uber ride. They have Uber there, or you guys can all arrange to come together type of thing. That's up to you. But the quilt fair is quite a big thing in Belfast.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. It is just a minor component to the trip. Not everyone will be interested in it, of course, and it won't interfere with anything else you might want to do.
But for those who are quilters, I think it would be a bit of a highlight. It's a
Oh,
pretty big deal.
absolutely. Yes, it's always nice to see how another country does something that we do here.
Yes. And then there's a little more coming up as far as quilting options. But when we leave Belfast, we head out on the coastal route, which travels what they call the coastal causeway route. You're going to go through the glens of Antrim. You'll see lots of these Celtic crosses. You're going to get to Giant's Causeway, which you've probably heard about, and the famous formations. You'll get a chance to walk down and see all that. There's an interpretive center. There's places to have lunch there. You'll continue on to Londonderry. Beautiful city. Derry, as it's called, or Londonderry. You'll hear the story of it when you go on a walking tour along the walled city. And then you're going to end up at the Keys Hotel, which I think is just the cutest property. This hotel is very, very historic. When we walked in the front door, you immediately smell the peat that they have burning in one of the fireplaces in one of their big lounges that you definitely have to check out. I think I have a picture of it. Yeah, there it is. There's the lounge. And their dining area is gorgeous. The food is phenomenal. So this is really a nice property. I think you're going to enjoy it. On to Donegal, home of Donegal Tweed. Now, this is a great shop. You'll get to go in, and before they turn you loose down below to shop, you have to control yourself. They're going to take you upstairs and show you how they make tweed. They actually have a weave up there that they do in a loom, and they will explain how it's done. It's incredible how fast they can do it. They'll do a whole presentation on that, but while you're watching them, they're going to come around and offer you the famous Irish coffee. And if you don't drink coffee, then you can just have a little shot of the whiskey, that a wee dram of whiskey. What's your choice, Taran?
I will have the Irish coffee, I think.
Valley girl. From there, you continue on to Belique Pottery, beautiful building, and the pottery itself is quite famous in Northern Ireland. That's going to be an interesting tour to see all the things that they offer. And of course, there's every opportunity to purchase. As you can purchase Donegal Tweed, you'll find some great buys, beautiful things that you won't see outside of that area. And those tweed outfits, they'll last you for your lifetime. If you spend the money and buy a beautiful one, it'll last forever. Belique pottery, something to remember Ireland by. And then we're going to go through Yeats country. So the famous poet and historian, I was reading up about him. He's got an interesting life, and you're going to see his home area and where he was buried, everything in that area. But it's beautiful country, and that's a lot of what he wrote about. Westport Coast Hotel. I loved this property. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's right on the water, a little bit out from the downtown, so you don't have any of that activity or noise. But there's a little pub. You can see it in that picture, the white building that's separated at the end. That's a great pub. But there's lots of other restaurants on the left side of the photo that you can't see. So lots to choose from there. But we have a spectacular dinner at the hotel that night just to make it convenient. What did you think of Westport?
I thought it was just the coziest, sweetest little community. It was
It's a
just
nice
lovely.
town.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get to and from the hotel to downtown. It's not all that far. And it's easy to walk around. And there's lots of great shops. We went to a um, cheese store and sampled a few different things there. They have like lots of things to choose from. And we really enjoyed our free time there. On to Connemara, which is beautiful country. This is what they call the Wild Atlantic Way as you follow the coastline around the western coast of Northern Ireland and down into Ireland. Calmore Abbey. This will be a standout. That's exactly what it looks like. It's on a big lake. That's only the Abbey. There's other areas. You can go to see the gardens. You can go to the Interpretive Center. Of course, there's chocolates to buy. But seeing this building and going through it, it's huge and it's quite something.
It's one of my favorite places to go in Ireland. It's got quite a history that would just fascinate you. The castle, it looks like a castle. It was
Mm.
built by an American father for his daughter who married an Irishman, and he lost a house in a card game. So
Wow.
they didn't have it for very long, but they do make their own Irish cream. And as Dan said, the gardens are splendorous, that like they're just gorgeous. And
They
there's a
are.
little chapel up on the hill. That's when you come around the bend and you look across the wee little lake there, it's just perfection.
And that's a perfect spot for taking selfies as well, across this side of the lake with the Abbey in the background.
Oh, yes.
And then you're going to get time to explore Westport. So we got into Westport yesterday, but now you have time later in the afternoon to walk around the downtown. And it's an interesting place for sure. Lots of things to shop and sample. I mean, you've got everything laid out in front of you. And then we're free for dinner that night. So pick your pub and find a place and enjoy. There's always fun going on in any pub that you're in, no matter where you are in Northern Ireland or Ireland.
Absolutely. And you'll never get a bad meal. You'll never be disappointed. And if you sit there long enough, someone's bound to start playing music.
Yes, it always happens. Cliffs of Moher. This is, of course, one of the most famous areas in all of Ireland. Everyone's heard of the Cliffs of Moher. On our way there, we go to Loch Mask and Loch Corrib, two different areas. And I don't know if I have pictures of both of these in here. No, I just have the one Loch Corrib, but they're very similar. A lot of fishing explorers on that lake, but it's just the scenery is something out of a postcard. And we get to Galway later in the afternoon, and that's a cute little town with a lot of history and a lot of activity going on. You'll get another opportunity to see the Cliffs of Moher from the sea. Now, this is something unique. The normal tours of Cliffs of Moher are on the motor coach, and they pull in to the area near at the top, and it's all railed off, and you can walk along and see it from different angles. But Taran, since she's been there, has said it's a better experience to see it from the sea. So we've arranged for you to get down there and see it from a boat. We're going to take you out from a small little port. You'll cruise along and you'll see that spectacle from down below. That is stunning.
It's going to be spectacular, just amazing.
We stay at the Radisson Blue in Limerick that evening. This is a beautiful property. It's a sprawling property kind of outside of Limerick, but you have everything that you need there, and the rooms are fantastic. Now, that night, there is an optional medieval banquet in a local Irish castle. You don't have to go. It's optional. The cost is up to you if you want to pay it and go. But it's a really fun thing to do. And the motor coach driver and guide, they'll ask who wants to do it, and they'll call ahead and block tickets. They've got a pretty good price on it. It's a lot of fun. I would recommend it. Limerick and Killarney. So anything on this tour is not a far drive, as we're going to talk about in the Q&A at the end. But this is a short jaunt to get there. You get a tour of Limerick City before we leave. Beautiful city on the water. You go through the village of Adair, cute little village of Adair with all of its thatch roofed huts, and then the town of Killarney. We're in Killarney for 3 nights. So most of the stops on this trip are for 2 nights. I think we might have a one-nighter, and then we've got a couple of three-nighters. So we do give you lots of time. We're not rushing you from place to place. But Killarney is very interesting, and it's a great jumping off spot for a lot of different optional tours that we're going to be going on. You're staying at the Earl's Court Hotel just outside of the downtown in a great area because downtown can get busy. When we were there happened to be a festival on, and you couldn't hear yourself think almost. We're glad our hotel was just on the outskirts. We could walk into town, revel, have fun, but then we had peace and quiet at night. There's a shot of Earl's Court Hotel. It's a lovely property. And we have dinner at the hotel just to make it convenient. Beautiful dining room.
Beautiful.
This is the ideal evening. Another thing that you will not find on any of the other Ireland tours is the Celtic Step Show. We built this in specifically for this tour. You can see they take you to different performances where you'll see the Irish dancers and people playing instruments, but the Celtic Step Show, we worked it into the price because we wanted everybody to be able to see it. So we bought tickets for everybody. It's going to be a phenomenal show. It has world-class athletes dancing in it. These people are top rated. They're gold medal winners. I couldn't believe it. It was really, really impressive. And Taryn, I don't think you've ever seen Celtic Steps, have you?
I have not, but I am very much looking forward to it. I love watching the Irish dancers.
We were blown away. I mean, I expected it to be good. I had no idea it was that good. I mean, we leapt to our feet when they were done. And the thing is, it's very entertaining. You know, the Irish, they have a good sense of humor. So they engage with the audience. They tease some of the dancers, and it's really a wonderful, wonderful evening. So after dinner, the motor coach will take us to Celtic Steps and bring us home. Great night. There's a shot of them. September the 4th, we're in Dingle, the Dingle Peninsula, as it's called. One of my favorite places on the tour that I did. I mean, it's an incredible drive. It's a little bit nerve-wracking with this big motor coach lumbering up these high altitudes and snaking its way around some sharp curves. But these drivers are professional, and you get the spectacular view. Partway around, you'll get a chance to stop in the town and actually explore. And it is right on the water. You can see the waterfront. You've got a few different rows of towns of houses and shops to wander through. You can't get lost. But the fish and chips there are phenomenal. And there's also great shopping. So no matter what place you go to, what restaurant, you're going to have some spectacular fish and chips. And then your evening is free to dine back in town. So there's lots of great places to choose from. Again, as Taryn said, you'll never have a bad meal there. Look at the options.
Hungry already.
Now, that evening, before you go out to dinner, again, this is another optional thing that Taryn has added on to this trip that you won't find on others. For the quilters in the group, Nikki Foley, kind of local famous quilter in the area, she's going to come to the hotel. We're looking at around 5 or 5:30, that's to be confirmed, and she's going to do what's called a trunk show. So can you explain that to us, Taryn?
Sure. Nikki actually doesn't have a bricks and mortar building, but she has an online business and she does this quite often for visitors to Ireland. She goes to the hotels and yeah, there's a picture of her. And she can do a little demonstration of things that she has in her stash. She shows us some of her fabric samples. She will also let you make something, do a little sewing while you're there, hand sewing. She just talks about quilting in Ireland and how it can differ to quilting in North America.
That would be interesting. And that's just an optional thing that we've put on for these people to enjoy. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Ring of Kerry, gorgeous drive. The Ring of Kerry is actually huge. There's no way we could do it sort of all in one day. We do a good sector of it, probably the most scenic area. I mean, look at that countryside. We go through
Breathtaking.
Mull's Gap, which is beautiful, kind of separates the one side from the other. And then the Kisane sheep farm, we went there. It's massive. There's a lot of sheep. He's got lots of dogs. It's so interesting to watch the dogs work and the way they respond to the commands. They're just brilliant. And then the neat thing about it is you can also go in and see the lambs. And if you want to, you can actually hold a lamb and get your picture taken with them. The jaunting car ride through Killarney National Park. This is quite a lovely time. It's just nice to slow down and relax. So we'll split up because I think they can take about eight people, maybe nine or 10 at the most in each of these jaunting cars. And the guides are all characters and they'll talk to you while they stroll through, the horse strolls through the park. You'll go over these beautiful bridges, you'll see the trickling brooks, you'll see little lake areas. It really is a nice way just to slow down, relax, and they tell you funny stories and you interact. The more you interact with them, the more they interact with you, right? Will's Farmhouse. Very, very enjoyable. So they give you a little bit of introduction outside, tell you how this farm used to work years ago and a lot of the history of it. Then they take you in and they show you a lot of the different rooms in this historic property. Then they bring you into the big dining room and you sit down and you have your meal there. And then the ladies come in and perform. We had this one woman, she was a character. You had to strain to listen to her because her accent was so strong, her brogue was so thick, but she was hilarious. We really enjoyed that. Did you get a chance to do Quill's Farmhouse when you were there?
Yes, we did, and it was very entertaining. And someone came and played music in the corner. They were playing their fiddle, and others were dancing and singing, and it was a night full of memories. Something
Yeah,
that just
I
you never see happen before.
well, that's just it. I thought, okay, well, this will be interesting. It'll be fun to see. We came home and said, wow, what an unexpected surprise. Like that was a little hidden gem. We had no idea it was that much fun. So I'm glad that you guys are getting to do that. Blarney and Cahir. The village of Blarney, small little place, but nice to walk around. There's the woolen mill. There's some great shopping. I think we went there as well. But everybody wants to go and see Blarney Castle, of course, which isn't much left of a castle. That's about all that's left of it. But the grounds are gorgeous. You've walked this and you told me about it, Taryn. I remember.
Oh, it has beautiful gardens. The garden, I mean, climbing the castle is one thing. It's a little strenuous. It's tight getting up, tight getting down. You're 400 feet off the ground. And you can bend over and kiss the Blarney Stone. But I mean, once you've done it, or if you don't want to do it, the gardens are just spectacular and the shops are great. I found prices in the shops were better than in town. It's a wonderful stop and something that you need to take full advantage of.
Yeah, there were people on our tour that said, there's no way I'm climbing those stairs because they get pretty narrow and circular.
They do.
And they just said, I'm not up to it. And I don't need to kiss the Blarney Stone that bad. But then there were others that wanted to do it. So we went with them. And I can say I've done it. Do I need to do it again? No. But it is kind of neat. It's an optional thing. Cahir Castle is beautiful as well. I remember walking through that. And it's in a little better shape than Blarney. But the interesting thing is the story they tell you and the history when they explain about how it was taken over and everything about it and why they have the doors built the size they do and strategic location. That's what's fascinating. And that's the advantage of going on a hosted and escorted coach tour versus saying, oh, I'm going to get a car and rent and we're going to drive around and go on our own. You can do that, although I don't know about driving in Ireland, but you miss out on so much. You're gonna miss half or three quarters of the history because Kilkenny is a medieval town, and there's just so much there to see and hear. It's a cute little town too.
It is.
Now,
And you're right.
there's
And you're right. If you travel on your own, you do miss a lot.
yes, absolutely. Hotel Kilkenny is where we're staying that night, a beautiful property, and we have dinner at the hotel that evening for your convenience. Next day, we're heading out on an excursion to Waterford and Dunbrody. We stop at the the village of Innistoge, and from there we continue on to Waterford, called the Viking City. And you know what it is famous for?
Waterford Crystal.
Absolutely. You have to go and see, even if you just walk around and take a look at it. The displays are gorgeous. It's a huge showcase area, and you can walk from room to room and look at some of the creations. They are beautiful. And near the end, you're going to see some very, very large ones and the incredible price of them. And some of them you might look at and go, you couldn't pay to have that in my house. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it depends on what you like. But you will see some beautiful, beautiful crystal. Now, Vessel Dun Brody, you're going to get a chance to see and experience that. This was the Irish famine that took place, and how so many people left Ireland, and how they were ill and died on the transatlantic sailing on a small vessel like that. It's a very sobering afternoon to see it, but it's also part of history and it's worthwhile experiencing. We do dinner again at our hotel that night just because the time we get back, it's easy to do. Now, if you want, after dinner, Kai Teller's Pub is a great little place to go. And you might, if you're lucky, see the ghost of Dame Alice. So that's a little bit of history to read up on. It's a fun place, and that would just be a riotous good time. And we are nearing the end of the tour. That went quick. We're heading from Kilkenny up just on the outskirts of Dublin. We don't stay in Dublin our last night. We actually stay in Malahide, a little seaside village. And I think this is one of your favorite places, right, Taran?
Oh, it is. The Irish National Stud Farm is just, it's gorgeous. And again, has beautiful Japanese gardens. We get to meet uh, the horses. Some of them are multi-million dollar horses. They
Hmm.
talk to you about where they come from, where they're going to. Some of them are American bred, some are Irish bred, but Ireland is known for their horses.
When we had our group there, a lot of people weren't thinking a whole lot about the Irish stud. They thought, oh, well, it's on the tour. I don't have a choice. But they weren't excited for it until afterward. They came away saying that was one of the highlights of the trip. The grounds are beautiful.
Yes.
And as Taryn said, the horses are stunning. One of the ladies that gave us our tour, she was Canadian. So that was pretty interesting. She had been there a few months and she was already leading the tour, but the gardens are spectacular and you have free time to walk around those. So we have your admission included in the price of the tour. But then we go on to Malahide Village. This is a cute little town. It's on the harbor. You can go down, take off your shoes and socks, and put your feet in the Irish Sea to say that you've done it because you're on the east coast of Ireland. So you'll have free time to explore. The town is very quaint. It's not that big. So walking from the Malahide Hotel to downtown is like 4 minutes, if that. Probably not even that. But there's neat places to explore, and there's great ice cream there. This is where you're staying, the Grand Malahide Hotel. It's the grand dame of the town. It's the best place to stay. Beautiful property, beautiful lobby, beautiful rooms, and their dining area. They do lots of weddings and other events there. But this is your farewell drink and your farewell dinner, where everybody's together for the last time that night. Beautiful view out of the water from those massive picture windows. And then it's off to bed because we're up early the next day for our flight home. So early breakfast, transfer to Dublin Airport, check in, fly home. If you've done the motor coach with us, because we always offer an optional coach. It's up to you if you want to go with us. We just cover the price of the coach. So everybody chips in based on how many people are traveling. We'll get you to Pearson and back. You can't drive there and park for the price of what it would cost to go on the motor coach. So everybody travels as cousins together, and we check in and we get home at the same time. And you're home until the reunion when everybody gets together again. So that is the itinerary for Taran's Best of Ireland. The tour price, with everything included, is 51.99 Canadian per person. Now that's based on double occupancy. That includes the taxes and fees and everything that you really need. There are single and triple rooms, very, very limited, and we can do those on request. The rate we have is our early booking saver rate. You save $500 per person on this because they're telling us that there's a price increase of March 15. Now, we're obviously going to try to hold off as long as we can, but they're telling us that that is the increased date. So if people are interested in this, they're going to want to grab their space as fast as possible. You also have a limited number of seats on the coach. We're looking at about 40 people maximum. Usually we try to go with 35. So it's very comfortable on the coach. As mentioned, this is our own private departure. You will not find this on the Royal Irish Tours website. You won't find it with any other Expedia office or definitely any other travel agency. We have contracted this motor coach for Taran and her people. So if you're joining her, you're exclusive on this departure. There's a separate Irish tour leaving the same day in a different direction, but it's not including what Taran's has. All of those things. And speaking of that, let's take a look. You've got your 14-night accommodation in first class hotels. You have a full Irish breakfast every single day. And those Irish breakfasts are huge. You will not go hungry, believe me. 8 evening meals in hotels, plus the Quills farmhouse dinners included, the panoramic tours of those three cities, the cruise, which again is something unique, and we included that in the price, the Cliffs of Moher, the Celtic Steps show that you can't get anywhere else, the guided walking tour of Derry, the jaunting car ride, visits and admissions to all of the following: the St. Patrick's Centre, the Belfast City Hall, the Titanic experience, which was a pricey on its own, but Cullimore Abbey, Dunbrody family, everything, the Irish National Stud. All of those are included and they're taken care of by your driver and guide, so you don't even have to line up. They do it for you. Round trip transfers in Dublin, and then, of course, you've got their modern, beautiful touring coaches and Royal Irish Tours accredited guide with you throughout the entire trip. There is porterage for one checked standard size bag of luggage, and then your gratuities at the hotel are covered. So what's not included? Well, gratuities to the guide. So any guides you meet at some of these functions, the driver and the guide of the tour itself will give a suggestion of what to give them on the last day. International airfare, because not everybody's flying out of Toronto. We have people coming from other provinces. So we're going to get a group rate on the air, and then we'll offer that to everybody at time of booking. Travel insurance, which is a must. If you have your own, that's great. Let us review it with you. Make sure that you have adequate coverage because you don't want to find out the hard way. And if not, or there's any missing gaps, we can help you by offering Manulife insurance, the best coverage on the market. Any items of a personal nature, of course, that you want to take or buy, and then meals that are not listed in the itinerary are optional. Purchases that you make, Donegal Tweed, Crystal, whatever it may be, those are up to you. Now, frequently asked questions that Royal Irish Tours has put together. Um, they're asking about the weather. What is the average weather? Well, depending on the time of year, but when we're going, it's going to be anywhere from 17 to 25 degrees Celsius by daytime. So when I was there in Dublin, it was actually in early May, and it got quite warm. So I think that you're going to find when you're going in late August and early September, it's perfect touring weather. By night, it cools off and comes down a bit, but that's ideal for sleeping. Ireland, of course, is on the euro, but Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom and they're on pound sterling. If you budget 10 to 15 euros for lunch and 25 to 30 euros for dinner, that's more than enough. I don't think we spent that, and I am a big eater, and I don't think we spent that every day. There's just no way. But that's a guideline to go by. A pint of Guinness or a wee dram of whiskey, what's that going to cost you? 4 or 5 euros if you're in the countryside, 6 or 7 in Dublin. It's the bigger city. It's worth it. How long are we on the coach? At the most 4 to 5 hours, but there's multiple stops. You're touring, you're stopping for bathroom breaks, you're stopping for photos. You really don't think that you feel like you're on it for a long time because there's the frequent chances to get off the motor coach. What do I pack? Well, Ireland, it's kind of like Alaska. You want to pack in layers. Bring your rain gear just in case. But for August and September, it really should be quite dry. You shouldn't really experience a lot, but it's Ireland. It can change in a minute, right, Taran?
Yes, you're on an island in the Atlantic. You could get anything.
Yes, that's right. Now, you can take a small little carry-on bag on the coach, but here's the thing. It has to fit in the small shelf above you, which is probably about, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches wide. So if you're bringing a sort of a big carry-on bag, it is not going to fit on the overhead of the coach, which means it has to go under your feet in front of you, and between your seat and the seat in front of you. And that's not comfortable. So if you're going to bring or you feel you need to have a carry-on bag to have something with you, just make it a little shoulder bag, knapsack type of thing that you can handle because there's not a lot of space on the coach to carry those things. Your luggage will be tucked underneath and they won't be able to get added every time you get off the coach. Now, how do you secure your spot? Well, we have an online registration form that you can find on the Choose to Cruise website under the Ireland tour. And even in this flipping book, there is a link to it. Fill in that information. It's pretty straightforward, and that automatically generates a message to Taryn, and then she'll reach out and contact you and block space based on availability. If you want to talk to her, meet and discuss the tour and ask any other questions, you can easily reach out to her. It's you can find her on our agency website, or it's T Wharram TWHARRAM at expediacruises.com. You're going to need to bring your passports because we like to book people based off of the way their name appears in their passport. So there's no mistake, no problem. We'll check the validity of it for you to make sure there's no problems there. The deposit on this tour is 500 per person. It's a non-refundable deposit because we've committed to this coach. So we have to know people are coming with us. The balance is due by the middle of April because, again, we've committed that far out. Now, if you want to avoid the 3% credit card surcharge, our prices really are based on check payment. If you want to pay by credit card, there's going to be 3% on top of the 51.99. So pay by check, or you can bring us cash or a money order and then tell a friend, make it memorable. People that travel together have a great time, but you are going to meet other people on the trip and you won't be alone because Taryn's going to be there to take care of you. So we're excited about having you join us on this amazing tour. Taryn, is there anything you want to add about the trip?
Oh my goodness. It's going to be just wonderful. The weather's going to be perfect. I've been in the spring and I've been in the fall and I've experienced rain. I think I went in March and October, but this weather's going to be wonderful. And Royal Irish Tours gives you guides who are so experienced with what they do. They've done these tours many times. They're going to take you to the places that you really want to see the most. They're not going to waste your time. You're going to have a wonderful trip.
Yes, I think so too. And I'm excited that you're going with them because you've got the experience of being there 3 times before. So you're going to tell them all the little secret places to go and the things to see and do. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, please reach out to Taryn and secure your spot on this tour. And we look forward to having you with us to Ireland. Taryn, thank you for taking the time to do this video, and I'll see you in the office.
Yes, thank you, Dan.
Bye for now.
Bye.